Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video we made yesterday, Day Zero coverage of Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider rather. Today, like I promised yesterday, we are going to do a detailed, in-depth analysis of all the settings that this game offers to the PC gamers in the world. Let's get started. So guys, I'm again in the game like I promised, and yesterday I had played the game, so we were busy working, so I did not get much time to play the game. But what I will do right now is go through the options. Now I went through all the NVIDIA options that NVIDIA had given. I mean the NVIDIA's website, they have given a detailed discussion of all the settings out there. I'll leave a link down in the detail section so that you guys can go through it, but let me explain the settings one by one. The sheer number of options that are there is insane. So vibration, pretty standard, invert y-axis. If you use a gamepad, you can tweak the sensitivity based on your, how you want to use it. Okay, gameplay, combat difficulty, survival instinct beacons, and instinct glows. If you really want to become, if you're an expert Tomb Raider player, you can switch them off. Online features. Now, yeah, I have the online features on. So if somebody does not want them, you can switch it off, and you can broadcast the frame rates, okay, and additional information as an overlay on top of the game. So that way what happens is, you can actually see everything in the game using their features, and probably that will not have a performance hit, right? Next is Razer Chroma effects. Now if you have a Razer peripheral, a Chroma peripheral, then you can switch this on, and probably the lightings will change based on that. I cannot tell you exactly what will happen because I don't have a Razer device right now with me. Anyway, audio and languages. So this game has full language support for English, French, German, Italian, Spanish, which is Latin American Spanish, Bavarian, Japanese, Portuguese, Polish, Russian, Dutch, Korean, Chinese. Oh my god, Chinese simplified. Wow, many languages, but I'll stick to English, and those of you escape. Now display. Now this is the sweet stuff. You're getting into the good stuff. Let's see. Display. Okay, brightness, full screen, exclusive full screen. Now this is something that they have, an added feature, which basically makes the game, gives the game full control of your visual display unit. Okay, this allows you to change the refresh rate and improve the graphics slightly from the game itself. I have this on because I had no issues when I had this on. So anyway, I like that. Okay, resolution. I have a full HD monitor, so I'm sticking to full HD. Refresh rate 60 Hz. I have a 60 Hz panel, so it's an IPS 60 Hz panel, so obviously 60 Hz is the max I can go to. Anti-aliasing. Now, this is something that I wanted to talk about. FXAA, it will have no performance hit. Now, if you have anything like a GTX 970, you can go maximum up to SMAA, guys. You cannot go up to SSAA or super sampling anti-aliasing 2x or 4x, because technically when you are going to SSAA 4x, you can actually compare it with sort of, not exactly 4K, but yeah, it's super sample 4 times and then downsize. So pictures are like sharp and crystal clear, but it has a huge performance hit. So I like sticking to SMA, and FXAA is what I'll keep now, but FXAA blurs things out. SMA is a better choice. Anyway, VSync, I had this on because I was getting 80-90 FPS, so there's frame tearing, sorry. But if you really want to see how much your graphic card can push things, keep this off and check out the frame rate. And when we benchmark, we always keep the VSync off, obviously. Anyway, now let's go into the graphics. So the first thing that you will come across is the preset. Now if you have, again, GTX 750 Ti, or actually you won't be able to play with the 750 Ti, but if you want to play with it, play the lowest settings. I'll talk about the NVIDIA section, and then I'll talk about the AMD cards. If you have somewhat like say 940M or something in your laptop, I guess you have to stick to lowest also. Now low 950 should stick to low to medium, right? And 960 should again stick to just medium. 970 can take it to high or very high. Now I got solid 60 FPS with the default preset in 970, right? And 980 Ti can tweak settings like the shadow quality, which can go up to very high, and again sunsoft shadows, which can go up to very high. For AMD, think of when I said 950, AMD Radeon, say an R9 270, a 960 is an R9 380. 380X comes between the 960 and 970. For a 970, R9 390. For 980, R9 390X. And for the 980 Ti, the Fury X. But in another video which we will make about the graphic cards, you'll see right now the AMD performance is inferior to the NVIDIA performance. That is for the drivers, I guess, because NVIDIA launched a game-ready driver, the 361.75 WHQL driver. The AMD side, Team Red, did not, unfortunately. Anyway, so now let me explain what they are. I'll take it to the highest setting and I'll explain. Texture quality. Now, texture quality is basically the quality of the textures that you see throughout. I mean, you can say the resolution of it, but basically, if you reduce this, you'll see there's a huge impact on the textures throughout the game. So yeah, high and very high, not so much. Beneath that, the quality does suffer. Also, something that you must keep in mind, if you take it to very high, this becomes a graphic card video RAM hog, guys. This thing with 970, it's always sitting at, north of 4000 megabytes with very high. If you bring it down to high, it's, the video memory needed is going to reduce. So if you have a 2GB graphic card, I'd suggest stick to medium, not more than that. Anyway, moving on, anisotropic filtering. This basically adds sharpness to your overall gameplay. Stick to 16x because it does not have much of a performance hit. Shadow quality. This has a huge performance hit, guys, and especially from high to very high, huge performance hit. I feel it's not worth it. The performance hit on the FPS is not worth the change, or the the eye candy factor. High is pretty decent. Sunsoft shadows. This does not have much of an effect, but this basically makes the shadows softer when the shadows are casted by the light of the sun. That is what this is all about. Now, ambient occlusion. HBAO Plus is an NVIDIA GameWorks feature, so if you have an AMD card, please stick to on. Okay, and if you have an NVIDIA card, the second gen Maxwell, that is the 900 series, you can go to HBAO Plus, and especially 970 upwards, stick to HBAO Plus. And HBAO Plus, actually, the shadows casted on the corner of the room because of the ambient lighting, that is what HBAO or ambient occlusion is all about, right? So moving on, the depth of field. Depth of field is what causes a sense of depth in the game, and you will also see bokeh effects throughout the game. Stuff further off is going to be out of focus, and stuff in focus, will basically mean that they are closer by. Also, when you're underwater and you're looking from beneath the water in Tomb Raider, everything outside will have the clean bokeh effect. So yeah, depth of field. Tomb Raider uses depth of field in a very, very big way, and it looks pretty awesome. Level of detail. Again, this basically means how to put this? I'll keep it simple. The resources used by the game, okay, will obviously amp up when you go up, right? So it's basically you're going to see more details when you have the level of detail higher, and the level of detail, say the stitching on this chair that you can see on the screen, or the details on Lara's skin, everything is going to reduce if you reduce the level of detail, right? So yeah, and it's written over here, higher quality increases the use of more detailed meshes, lower quality improves performance. So if you know somewhat about graphics, it's about the polygons that are used, number of polygons used to create a graphical object, right? That increases. Every CGI or computer generated image uses a number of polygons, and the meshes that are used. So okay, I won't rant more about this. Some of you might get bored. I'll keep it simple. Tessellation. Now, tessellation adds more details to selected surfaces. Again, if I want to explain this completely, I'll have to get into the depths of it. What you need to know is if you keep tessellation on, it looks much better, but it takes somewhat performance hit. Now, screen space reflections. This basically means that within your screen, if you have a water, say this is a reflection of the sky, will look much better if you have this option on, but it has decent performance hit. Dynamic foliage. Now, what this means is if you reduce it, the grasses all around, right? The grass, the trees, they're going to interact with you. So if you have it all the way to low, very few of them will interact with you. If you have it medium, some of them will. And if you have it on high, what I have experienced is more or less everything around Lara interacts with Lara, right? The grass, the trees, they interact with Lara while she is walking by. Okay, bloom. this is basically how to put this. This allows any light on the screen to bleed into the surroundings. So yes, it's basically somewhat, it illuminates things globally, right? If there's a light source on your screen, it will have its effect on the surroundings. So yeah, I have bloom on. Now vignette blur basically, how to put this, I'm trying to simplify things, guys. So think of it this way: a cinematic blur effect. If you have this on, you get a cinematic blur effect. If you don't want blur effect, switch it off. A motion blur, something that I don't like. This basically, when you're moving out really, really fast, this blurs the surroundings to give you a sense of speed. If you want it, switch it on. If you don't want it, switch it off. Now, pure hair. This is something that everyone is talking about, and every Tomb Raider game, especially from 2013, is the center of Lara's hair. So, yeah. Tress effects was something that was used by the 2013 version. It was developed by AMD. Pure hair is a take on the Lara's hair by Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix, who has really, really worked a lot more on the Tress effects effect. And this actually has lower performance hit than what Tress effects used to have. So yeah, if you want to switch it off, it will improve performance, but if you have it on all the way up to very high, they say that up to 30,000 individual strands are being rendered by your graphic card. So pretty insane stuff. Lens flares. This is again a flare effect that it will happen on your lens. This is similar to somewhat, a cinematic effect. Basically, your monitor is going to show a flare, that as if the lens through which this entire game is being captured is having a lens flare effect. Lastly, screen effects. This is basically screen effects such as blood, dirt, film grain. When you're walking by, if it's raining, suppose, there'll be water all over your screen. If Lara is being hit, there'll be a splurge of that blood that that's coming out of Lara on the screen. So that is what screen effects is all about. If you want to turn down the gore, you can switch this off, or if you don't like the effects, you can switch it off, but it doesn't have much of a hit on the performance. Anyway, guys, this was the graphic settings. Hopefully I could cover it, but if you want to know more about it in details, then please go down to the link in the detail section and have a look at it. Next, mouse and keyboard. Now this is a sign of a pretty good PC port. Usually console ports don't have so many options, like bad console ports I mean. Now since this is a decent one, you can actually bind each and every key, and it also gives you an alternate option. Pretty good. Now, kudos to Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics and Nix's, who has actually made the PC port for doing this. In the gamepad, obviously it gives you an Xbox One outlay of layout of the buttons that have been mapped. Unfortunately, you cannot change this, but if you have an Xbox 360 controller, it's pretty much the same, guys. The only thing is that the select and the start and select buttons of Xbox 360 is a little different. Start and back, sorry, is a little different. That's all. Everything else is the same. Moving on, Square Enix membership. Now, yeah, that is pretty much what it says, Square Enix membership. So I guess that's it, guys. This video was about the options that Rise of the Tomb Raider offers to all the PC gamers out there, and we have covered it in depth. Stay tuned for the graphic card shootout that we are going to launch next.